Rowan burst through the workshop door, sawdust dancing in the morning sunlight, wearing paint-splattered overalls that had seen better days. Those bright hazel eyes sparkled with an idea so big it practically buzzed in the air around him. The old tool shed behind Grandpa's house had always been a magical place, but today it would become something special. "Today's the day." The words tumbled out as tools clinked and clanked into a worn canvas bag. Hammer, check. Paintbrushes, check. That special jar of mixed-up nails that Grandpa said could build anything, double check. Outside, the empty lot next to the community center looked like a forgotten patch of earth. Weeds poked through cracks in the concrete, and a rusty chain-link fence leaned sadly to one side. But in those eager eyes it was already transformed into something wonderful. The first swing of the hammer echoed across the lot. Bang! 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 Soon a wobbly frame of wood began to take shape. It might have been a playhouse, or possibly a rocket ship, maybe both. The blueprint existed only in that creative mind, changing and growing with each nail hammered home. What you building?" The voice belonged to Marcus, who lived 3 houses down and had a talent for asking questions at exactly the right moment. He wore his favorite dinosaur shirt and carried a soccer ball that never seemed to leave his side. It's going to be amazing," came the breathless reply. "Want to help?" Marcus tilted his head, studying the structure that currently looked like a wooden spider learning to dance. "What is it supposed to be?" "That's the best part. We get to decide together." The soccer ball dropped to the ground as Marcus picked up a piece of wood. Could it be a fort? I've always wanted a fort. "Yes, and maybe it could have a reading corner, too, with pillows and everything." Soon the hammering doubled in volume. 2 sets of hands worked side by side, passing tools and holding boards steady. The structure grew taller, though it leaned rather dramatically to the left. "You 2 look like you could use an engineer." Aisha appeared at the fence, her backpack bulging with graph paper and colored pencils. She was famous at school for turning math problems into art projects and making the most detailed plans for everything from lunch trades to recess games. "Aisha, perfect timing." Marcus waved her over with the board that right away fell off the structure. "We're building a fort reading nook thing." She pushed her glasses up her nose and walked slowly around their creation. Interesting. Very creative. But if you wanted to actually stand up, you might need some diagonal supports here and here. Within minutes she had sketched a plan on her graph paper. The fort reading nook suddenly had walls that would actually stay vertical, and a roof that wouldn't collapse at the first sneeze. "Rowan, pass me that hammer," Aisha called out, already measuring and marking with practiced precision. The name rang out clear and strong, just as a particularly stubborn board finally clicked into place. The sun climbed higher as their creation took shape. What had started as one person's wild idea was becoming something real, something better than any of them had imagined alone. Marcus contributed his idea for a secret compartment. For snacks, he insisted. Aisha designed a pulley system for raising and lowering a flag. And the painting? Oh, the painting was a glorious explosion of everyone's favorite colors. "It needs more purple," shouted a new voice. The twins, Kai and Luna, had arrived with their grandmother's old paint supplies. They were 6 years old and believed that purple was the solution to most of life's problems. "Purple is perfect," Marcus agreed, accidentally dripping orange paint on his dinosaur shirt. "But we need green, too. Dinosaur green." Soon the fort was a rainbow. Not a neat, organized rainbow, but the kind that happened when 5 kids shared brushes and nobody worried about staying inside the lines. Paint ended up on faces, hands, and somehow in Marcus's hair, but the fort grew more beautiful with each stroke. "What are you young artists creating?" Mrs. Chen from the community center stood at the fence, her eyes twinkling behind wire-rimmed glasses. She carried a plate of still-warm cookies and had that look adults get when they're trying not to interfere with childhood magic. "It's our everything place," Luna announced, purple paint dripping from her brush onto her shoes. "Your everything place?" Mrs. Chen stepped through the gate, carefully balancing her cookie plate. Yeah, Kai chimed in. It's a fort and a reading nook and an art studio and a clubhouse and dash. And a cookie-eating spot? Mrs. Chen suggested, setting the plate on a wooden crate they'd been using as a table. The building crew attacked the cookies with paint-covered hands, leaving colorful fingerprints on everything they touched. Mrs. Chen didn't mind one bit. You know, she said thoughtfully, the community center has been looking for a new playground structure, but this is so much better than anything we could buy from a catalog. The hammering stopped. 5 pairs of eyes turned to her, hope and uncertainty mixing on their faces. Really? The question came out as barely a whisper. Really? But Mrs. Chen paused, and heart sank. It would need to be safe for all the younger kids, and we'd need to make it official with the center's board. We can make it safe. Aisha jumped up, already sketching modifications. Look, if we add railings here and sand down all the rough edges. And we could make the reading nook bigger, Marcus added, with beanbags. Purple beanbags, the twins shouted in unison. Mrs. Chen laughed. Well then, I suppose we better get the whole neighborhood involved. This everything place is going to need everything hands. The next morning, the empty lot buzzed with activity. Parents arrived with power tools and safety equipment. Mr. Rodriguez from the hardware store donated wood and nails. The teenager from down the street, who everyone thought only cared about video games, showed up with his entire gaming club ready to help. The original fort transformed into something even more wonderful. The frame stayed, that creative, wild heart of the project, but grew stronger with each addition. Real stairs replaced the wobbly ladder. The reading nook gained walls and windows. Someone's dad built a slide off one side, while someone's mom installed monkey bars on the other. Rowan, you started something amazing, Mrs. Chen said quietly, standing beside the young builder as they watched their community work together. Pride swelled in that paint-splattered chest, but also something else, understanding. The everything place had become exactly that because everyone had added their everything to it. Marcus contributed his sports equipment storage idea. Aisha's engineering made it safe and sturdy. The twins' purple paint job, now accompanied by every other color imaginable, made it joyful. The teenagers added a music corner with wind chimes. The grandparents built benches where they could watch their grandchildren play. 3 weeks later, the community center held a grand opening. A red ribbon stretched across the entrance to the everything place, and the mayor herself came to cut it. But the real celebration was in the details, initials carved, with permission, into the support beams, handprints and paint along the walls, and a sign made by all the kids that read, "Built by everyone." The first official visitors were a group of kindergartners from the elementary school. They gasped at the colors, squealed at the slide, and right away claimed the reading nook for story time. Watching them play, the original building crew exchanged proud grins. We did that, Marcus said quietly, his dinosaur shirt now permanently decorated with orange paint spots he refused to wash out. We all did that, Aisha corrected, adjusting her glasses that had somehow gotten bent during construction. Best mess ever, the twins said, already planning where more purple. As the sun set on the grand opening day, families slowly headed home. The everything place stood strong and bright in the fading light, ready for tomorrow's adventures. It wasn't perfect. The paint dripped in places, some boards were slightly crooked, and the purple section was definitely larger than originally planned. But that's what made it perfect. Inside the reading nook, tucked between 2 beanbags, one purple, naturally, sat a small photo album. Mrs. Chen had filled it with pictures from the building process, snapshots of paint-covered faces, of hands working together, of the moment when the walls finally stood straight. The last page held a note. Sometimes the best things in life start with one person's wild idea, but they become beautiful when everyone adds their own special touch. Thank you for reminding us that together we can build anything. The album would stay there in the everything place for every child who came to play. A reminder that the most beautiful messes, the ones made with friends, with community, with love, are the ones worth making. And in the corner of that last photo, barely visible but there for anyone who looked closely, was the first build of all. Rowan smiled at the camera, surrounded by friends, covered in paint and sawdust and joy, holding a hammer in one hand and Marcus's hand in the other. The everything place rose behind them, crooked and colorful and absolutely perfect. Because the best buildings aren't just made of wood and nails. They're made of shared dreams, helping hands, and the magical moment when mine becomes ours. The everything place would stand for years to come, growing and changing with each new group of children who played there. New paint would cover old, additions would sprout from every side, and the purple section would somehow keep expanding despite all logic. But at its heart would always be that first wild frame, built by a child who dared to dream big and friends who helped make it real. And that, as any builder will tell you, is how the most beautiful structures are born, not from perfect plans, but from open hearts and willing hands, working together to create something beautiful from a beautiful mess.